Okay, what's up? We on back again. Shadow Code Radio. Now we're going for round two of our Drake talk, and this is more of a universal topic, Reese. We're gonna talk about some of the big name legends. I would say from 2000 on, really, on the GOAT list, and why do fan bases make excuses for them and excuses for the discographies when they put out weak and mediocre music? Now, this pertains to Drake when we agree that Drake hasn't put out a standout project since really 2013. You could debate 2014 or 15, and okay, but I'm talking like an album of the year, damn near classic project since 2013. But he's still bigger than anything. Why do you think that is? I want to talk about him. We're gonna bring up Kanye West, Eminem, Lil Wayne. What do you think it is?
Um, I'm gonna start by saying I think that most of the people are they kind of the fans. Some of these like fans of Drake. I would say some of the fans of Drake are different from fans of Eminem, or different
Okay,
from the fans of. I'm gonna say Kanye and Drake fans are similar. Eminem fans are different than theirs. I think that a lot of Eminem fans. How would I say this? To me, the last two projects Eminem put out were pretty good. They were okay. There wasn't like the revival. Revival wasn't good, but the last two, Kamikaze and what's the name? I think they have a leg to stand on. Those fans, if they saying that he's still rapping, he's still is pretty okay. The difference between Drake fans is Drake hasn't put out anything that's any notably good, and they'll still say it's good because they're obsessed with his lifestyle and who he is, not the actual art or the music of it. So we could have an argument of Eminem still, at least he still raps, and at least he still tries to new flows, and at least he still tries to do something that is kind of groundbreaking. When you even like with Rap God and a bunch of songs that he did recently. With Drake, I can't really say he did anything that's groundbreaking recently that I can say that, but I say that the fans of his, or most of them are the core, like the real obsessed fans are delusional. You know what I'm saying? They like something that he's that they're saying he's giving and he's really not giving. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like how Kanye West fans are. Kanye West fans are holding on to the old Kanye so much that anything he does, they believe is just like the old stuff. Like, oh, yeah, he's still doing it. It's like, no, he's really not. You know what I'm saying? He's really not. It's because he sings in auto tune doesn't mean that it's good.
they trend stealing.
Trend stealing.
I see you brought it up in the last show, last segment. Kanye West and Drake right now are trend stealers. And what they're doing are they're surviving doing the modern day music, the modern day beats, the modern day um, you know, the modern day type of hip hop with the hotter young name artists. The Young Thugs, the Futures, the Lil Babies, the Travis Scotts, the Trap Generation, and I think they're hanging on that way, you know. But I think this is what it is. I think that because, and to be fair, these rappers have built their brand so big, and it's a gift and a curse because of social media, where they're above criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Eminem is one, which I'm gonna get to a little bit later because you're right, he is different. Kanye is another. Drake is another. Nicki Minaj is another. Um, I don't know about Jay Z because Jay Z's brand is big, but Jay-Z's brand is big not really because of his music anymore. Jay-Z is more our generation. And I don't know if the young generation will defend Jay-Z like they defend a Drake or a Kanye. Kanye and Drake are similar, but their brands are so big that they can do no wrong. I mean, you see that with the Pusha T diss, with the whole Kanye and Drake beef, where I almost think them coming together kind of bigged them both up and kept them both in the news. When, let's admit, both of those albums last year were nowhere near the top 10 or top 15 in Certified Lover Boy and Donda 2. They were okay at best, but they were the biggest albums of the year. So I think the brand energy and I think the energy off of social media, just because social media is just so, it's so fake, man. It's so I don't know how to say it, man. Social media basically clouds the judgment and basically um creates such a false sense of what's real because of the hype and the energy and the debate and the argument, that it makes these guys out bigger than they really are and should be.
Hmm. Um, I totally agree with that. I think social media has diluted the people's actual opinion about things. I think that people now they look at it like they have to agree with you because they don't want to ever be on that side where you don't where they don't where it's like, oh man, because me personally, and I'm sure you don't really care for cyberbullying, and I think that for us, when we grew up, cyberbullying is like, what the fuck is that? But for these new generation, cyberbullying is the equivalent of actual bullying. You know what I'm saying? Because they feel like they can't. Why should I have to leave this social media app? Just leave me alone. And it's like, if you saying that this artist isn't good, you're gonna get bombarded with people saying that you're trash. Look at you, you're ugly. Oh, you're fat. Oh man, like oh you could never do that. And I think that that's where you get a lot of people who just don't want to be on the wrong side. They know that some people probably like this ain't good. But you ever talk to somebody and they said to you, "Well, you could say it. You could say it. You could go, yo, that joint ain't good, but I ain't gonna say it. I'm gonna keep that to myself."
But but to be honest with you, though, we all know Certified Lover Boy, Donda 2, um, this one, the latest Drake project that just dropped. What was another one? Yay, Jesus is King. All of these, they're not good, Reese. They're not
Yeah,
memorable.
yeah,
And on social media, for the most part, a lot of people have been trashing the album. But it's almost like for all the ones that are trash, they got people just coming out saying, nah, this is fire, this is great, just because they're saying it's
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah,
It's almost the reverse is happening now. I get that concept if an album was pretty good or pretty decent and maybe people wanted to go with the flow.
yeah.
But they know this album, they're not gonna revisit it. They might not revisit two songs in a year or what have you. But they're still gonna go and defend it just because people are arguing that it's trash.
It's like at this point in some of these rappers' careers, that goes for Eminem, that goes for Drake, and that goes for Kanye. They can literally put out garbage. I'm talking like straight trash to the point where it's like the beats are off, everything's off, and someone will come out and say, it's just abstract art. It's different. You know what I'm saying? None of their fans are actually ever gonna call them out on it because they are part of that hive and they don't want to be outcasted. It's like if just imagine going on Twitter and you are, let's say you are Kanye West's or Drake's biggest fan on Twitter, and you set up the hive and you are the guy who's at the top and the million, and you have 1 million followers, and all y'all do is talk about Drake all day, Drake, 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 and he comes out an album and you say the guy who created it, you say, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, this album isn't that good. You'll get crucified. You'll be like, you're supposed to be a Drake fan. Are you kidding me? This album is great. It's like, that's what it is. That's what we're dealing with now. These fans
The
are not
high.
actually, they bully into being fans. They're not just actual fans. They're being bullied into being fans, or they're too scared to get canceled that they're like, nah, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to keep that to myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to talk about the good parts of it. You know what I'm saying? And again, this is why, like, I'm not really a big Charlemagne the God fan, but I heard what he said about the Drake album, and I like what he said. Yes, and he kept it real. Now I don't know if him and Drake have a beef. I don't remember if they do, but still, he kept it real. And I think that people like him need to say this because people like Anthony Fantano, of course, he's gonna say it's trash. Nobody's gonna listen to him. But people like Charlemagne, people gonna listen to him. And I think maybe we'll get the conversation going. And a lot of people will start stepping out the box and start saying these things. But they will always get a pass because their fan base just loves them no matter what. No matter what, they just love
Well,
them.
well, I want to talk more about that. See, it's good that you brought up the cult following
Yeah.
that the cause the internet breeds cultism. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And Charlemagne the God is a number one bad guy, and sometimes it's warranted. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it is warranted about what he says and what he does, but they'll band together over that. I mean, Nicki Minaj is a prime example, and she's got the whole, you know, female, kind of ratchet culture behind her. Same thing with Beyonce, where you can't say nothing wrong about them. But it's not even about the music with them anymore. It's more about we just love them just because it's them and we're part of their cult.
Mm-hmm.
Drake's part of that now.
Yeah.
This album solidified it for me because before I used to be a guy like, well, you know what? Like Drake, he kind of does get a lot of unwarranted heat. But after this, I'm pretty sold that he's got a hive now. Kanye's been had a hive where remember they had the meme of it, Kanye put out a blank CD with nothing on it.
Yeah.
People would say genius. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
go around?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah. It's
in the end of
genius.
the day,
He put out some
um,
nothing on it. That's genius.
yeah. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's the cultism of it all. It's the cult following where one you like their brand and what they stand for, but you want to be part of that cult that everybody's part of. It's like you want to be in the popular crowd in school. So even if it's not about the music, we're just gonna go ahead and say it's dope or it's decent just
Mm-hmm.
because we want to be part of something.
Yeah, that's that. I totally agree with that. I totally agree, and I agree that that's the reason why the numbers get skewed so much, like really fast. Because if your fan base basically see that, and they say, "Oh, he dropped the album." And another thing too, a lot of people gotta understand, people like surprises. So if somebody drop a surprise album, you're gonna stream because people love surprises. It's like, oh shit, for real. It's like they don't know it's coming. It's a surprise. Beyonce started that with the what's the name
Yeah,
album. She started that. That was actually a pretty good album. She started that. You know what I'm saying? Uh, when she did that album, and but I have a theory of why she did that. That's my theory why she did that because the album was really about sex, and I don't think she didn't want to be a part of all that. But still, but
yeah,
I think that with Kanye, Drake, and Eminem, um, especially Eminem. See, Eminem he's a weird figure to me when it comes to this type of conversation because Eminem is giving rap fans actually what they want, by rapping, but I think that hip hop fans now, a good percentage of them don't really care about the rapping part of it anymore. Because if Eminem was, let's say, if Eminem was black, it wouldn't even be no talk. We wouldn't be talking about Eminem if he was black. If he was black, they'd be like, "Oh, this guy's the greatest ever." But I think because he's white and he raps at such a high level, a lot of these people look at it like, "Oh, well, it's really not that great." But I will say that he does have some songs to me that just seem like he just wasn't trying. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe that he has a lot of fans who just gives him a pass on a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting figure because it, there are two sides of this on the Eminem dynamic because I think Eminem is different in that he came out before. Really, Eminem and Wayne are kind of different because they came out before the cultism, and they did it for real. You know, in an era when you had to sell records before streaming. Wayne did 1 million in a week. Wayne was the last one to do 1 million in a week when you actually had to go out and buy the CD. Eminem used to do that. So like the record sales are real with them. But see, here's the whole thing. They're spitters. Wayne Eminem is more a spitter than Wayne. Eminem represents real hip hop, real MCing. And I think today it's a little bit different because if you're an MC, that don't matter today in the modern day game. If you don't got, I'm not even gonna say the flows, but if they can't vibe to your music, you're out. You know
Mm,
what I mean? And it don't really matter what you say, it's more how you say it. And Eminem is still rapping. He wants to rap and be the best MC out there, and that don't count. And when people see him doing the numbers and doing the records he's doing, it's really because he has a loyal fan base. He has a loyal hip hop rap fan base that stuck with him for over 20 plus years. And they want to hear rap.
mm.
They want to hear rap music. But the people who don't respect real MCing or rap music, they're going to say, oh, it's because he's white. Oh, it's because, he's always done that or whatever. He's corny. That's the only reason why. They don't respect the MC part because they don't understand about MCing in hip hop. And also with Eminem, I think the reason why he gets a pass is because a lot of his core fan base is going to defend it just because nobody's rapping no more.
Mm.
And listen, like real diehard Eminem fans, I got news for you. They would rather hear Eminem do some corny or drop a lame bar here and there, or drop or miss on a bar here and there, or drop some corny lines instead of listen to a Little Baby or Young Thug
Mm.
because they want to hear rap. They don't want to hear that shit that Young Thug or Little Baby or the Baby is doing. They don't like that kind of music. So if they'll take take a subpar Eminem over the new shit any day, just because of their age and just because of who they are, and they want to hear real MCing. That's what they want to hear.
I agree with that. I think a lot of fans do have this. They do have this. Because I feel like hip hop has changed dramatically, and I think that people now are they believe that they're A&Rs now. I think the average fan thinks that they're A&R now, and they critique music as if they're in the boardroom with with the label execs, and it's like stop. Like you're just a regular fan, but they critique it like, oh, I seen one boy on YouTube. He was like, yeah, I didn't like how Drake did this, but it took too long for the song to start, and that took points away from me. And he's an
Oh
average
God.
fan, and it's like this is what we're dealing with now. They critique the artist as if they're what's the name, but they only do that. And then here's the thing: everybody's always screaming about they don't like commercial hits, pop music. But the first argument they bring up is hits. How many hits do we have? And it's like,
And rec-
and record
yep.
sales. But you always saying that you don't like commercial music or commercial hip hop artists. But the first thing you say is, well, if Drake does a verses, who could beat him? Like he has more hits. And it's like, well, you don't respect hits. Could you just say you like real hip hop? And most hip hop fans, when you talk to them about verses, they always talk about the hits, but they hate hits. So to me, hip hop is very confusing.
I want to. You know what? I want to bring that up. But this is kind of off topic, but see, that versus stuff was a gift and a curse because now instead of, well, how many classics does this guy have? Does this guy have an Illmatic or It Was Written or a college dropout, whatever? They're well, you can't beat him in the verses. You can't beat him in the verses now. So now it's like these younger generation. It's now like the competition has shifted to this versus argument. Oh well, Little Wayne could smoke Nas in the verses, and the whole Jay-Z thing. Well, because it's easy now to say, well, Drake will beat Jay-Z in a verses because Drake's hits are fresh in your head,
Mm,
but you didn't remember how big Jay's hits were
yeah,
when he was doing his run. So that's kind of another thing that adds fuel to the fire that keeps kind of Drake alive or in the conversation when the man has not put out good albums in like seven,
yeah.
8 years.
The thing,
But they go to this, oh
yeah,
well, the verses. Remember the
yeah.
verses
It,
because you're so used to hearing him
yeah.
on hits for God knows how long.
The thing about verses when you say gift and a curse is it works both ways. A lot of old people love the verses. A lot of old heads love it because again it gives their artists they a chance to shine. You know what I mean? You got artists that people never heard of, and it's like they give them a chance to shine. Now I don't know if that really makes a big difference because some people, even if they do it on the versus platform, they still ain't being seen because people ain't watching it. You know what I'm saying? But I think that that whole thing with versus kind of lets me know that hip hop fans are hypocrites. The real hip hop fans are hypocrites because the real hip hop fans always criticize commercial artists or commercial hits, but then when it comes to the verses, all of a sudden now they love hits now. Now, so I love this guy. He has all the hits. You know what I'm saying? But you was the same guy 2 years ago that said that commercial rap music is trash. Pop rap music is trash. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when we fall into this, when we get into this conversation of Drake, Kanye, Eminem, there's a couple of other ones too. Um, I think the conversation kind of like it's kind of weird for me because I do like hits, but again, like I was saying on the last show, even with I would even those three I only can pick out one song, well two. That's Rap God and Hurricane. That's it. I can't pick out any other song to me that is actually good. That's a hit. Not I'm too sexy because that's not a good song. You know what I'm saying? Like
Just
so
because, like you said, just because it's streamed doesn't mean
yeah.
it's a good song.
So I think that we're gonna come across these fans who saying now, now what kind of sickens me, and I don't understand why, and I think this is the reason why Drake and even Kanye, I think Eminem is in a different lane because I think Eminem he's rap driven, so he feels as though like even like if you look at Revival, He people said it was trash. He got better when he came out with Kamikaze. And he said it on the album. That album was garbage. And then with Music to Be Murdered By, he got better. I think that he kind of learned from his mistakes.
I
We,
think I think too with the whole versus thing, like people are trying to qualify hits in a category, like because the whole thing about well Eminem will get smoked in the verses, of course we got to go there, and of course the narrative. Well, M can't play to a versus crowd. I'm gonna tell you right now that Kanye West or Drake does not have one song that matches the energy and matches the greatness of Lose Yourself and Till I Collapse. They don't have not one song that matches that. You know, people forget, you know, Eminem has more hits than these guys.
yeah.
And he had more hits than these guys when you didn't have streaming, you know. But people want to forget about that and say, well, white people bought him. It's only because white people like him. And it's like, no, it's not. These got play on black radio
Yeah,
at one time.
yeah.
They got play in black clubs. Black people know the words to these songs. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But it's because of the time period. And we're just going to say, well, Eminem's hits aren't what they were 20 years ago or 15 years ago, and we're going to use that narrative versus, well, Drake had an I'm Too Sexy, so Drake has more hits. Well, that's really not a hit, dude. That's
Look,
really
I put
that,
I I put it to you like this, right? Eminem performed at the Super Bowl and people went crazy. Just imagine if he did this. Because first of all, let's be clear here. This is what people got to understand. Versus is catered towards a certain different demographic. But when you add Eminem to the equation, it's something different now because you have to sell tickets. You can't have the verses in the hall inside of Madison Square Garden. No, that's a stadium thing. Eminem he does stadiums with 80,000 people. So if he did something, it would had to be something in a stadium setting. And who's gonna come? Once you see Eminem's name on the docket, who you think's gonna come? So if his fans are gonna all come, so when people say, "Oh, he would lose in the verses and all this stuff," I think it's like, no, you got to look at the audience you playing in front of. That's it. If you put him in a setting where you put him in the hood and he's versus Jadakiss, that's something different because most people gonna be like, "Oh, I fucks with Jadakiss," but what happens when you put Jadakiss and him in a stadium? Then what? You know what I'm saying? It's like that's my point about the whole versus thing, and it is what it is. But I just don't see, um, as far as the fans go, like again, like I said, man, they're just fickle, man. They're fickle, and it's disgusting to see that they can't call these artists out, man. It's disgusting.
well, it's like I said, like the Eminem dynamic is different because you have such a polarizing debate of old hip hop fans, you got the white hip hop fan thing, and you got the new age, new school hip hop fans that don't respect MCing. That, you know, it kind of clouds what Eminem is. Then you have the whole internet narrative that works against Eminem, that Eminem don't get play in the hood. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, yeah.
We all know from going to concerts, from growing up in a certain era in the 2000s, that's total bullshit. You know,
Mm,
you were there in the city. I mean, I worked and lived down in South Philly, and trust and believe, Eminem show was getting played in the streets. Okay,
yeah.
when I was coming out of there, they was bumping Eminem in the hood. Trust and believe, but it's like I said, man. Like these artists are so big, and these artists have such a brand. They have such an internet following, both pro and con against them, and they have such you know a resume behind them that it's hard to really judge what the quality is. You know what I mean? Because I'm telling you, man, Kanye West has been a mediocre artist really since Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Drake has been a mediocre artist, but a hit maker since Nothing Was the Same. Eminem to me has been up and down and inconsistent since Revival. Not Revival. Revival was terrible, but Recovery. Recovery was, I thought, the last quality Eminem album. Real quality as like album of the year quality. But yeah, man, it's there's a lot of things clouding our judgment today as to these great artists. And it's interesting because that's the reason why. And I go back to remember when we did our top five and top 10. I get it why you could maybe put Kendrick Lamar in a top five now because there are no blemishes and he's been here for 10 years.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I think it's safe to say that a lot of these artists they're not putting their best foot forward. Those at least at least I would say out of the two. Eminem's been doing it what 25 years.
25 years. Yeah.
So I mean he's what 50 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
what can you really say? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
but these other two guys, Eminem's an old artist that just so happens to be doing music. You know what I'm saying? These guys are different. At least, like with Nas, at least Eminem gotten better after he gotten worse. You know what I'm saying? Nas gotten better. I don't think Eminem and Nas has gotten better than their old stuff, but they gotten better after people criticized them or saying that they wasn't doing well and they got
Well,
better.
that's the reason why I think with this GOAT stuff, with this GOAT debate, there are tiers to this shit. I think Jay-Z and Nas have proved it in 4 different decades that they can move the times and they are the best of the best. Then I think they're Biggie and Pac, who are the greatest who ain't non-living. There's that group. And then I think you get into the Eminems, the Lil Waynes, the Kanye Wests, and maybe even the Drakes, where yeah, they were great. They had some fire runs, but man, they had some real inconsistent moments too, where you're going to get this debate and you're going to get the back and forth between their fan bases as to oh this and their stand bases and their hives and all of that. And I think that kind of tier of greats is the most interesting one because a lot of them have flaws in their game, but they have a lot of very high great moments that people want to live off of still.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. You're right, man. Hey, man, it is what it is. So let's see.
So so yeah. But anyway, we're gonna try and be back. We got a lot of big shows coming up. We got the mid-year review coming up. We want to do our top 10, top 10 to 15 of the millennium. That's coming up. But check us out, Shadow Code Radio. Look us up on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, jump on, see all our material. Tonight was a heavy Drake night. Um, we got a lot more to talk about in the next couple of weeks, and we're gonna come back. Just check us out, and join on. Let's get some followers on here now. Make sure you subscribe. Get this up, and we could get more of a more live feeds for you, more shows, and definitely more guests coming on as well. All right. So with that, y'all have a good night, and we'll check y'all out later in the week. All right. Peace.